Namaste, I'm Shalini Lucas, and I'm an author, motivational speaker, a dance teacher, and a mindfulness teacher as well. I'm coming to you today from Kenya, which is where I was born and brought up. And I lived here until I was 18. I was brought up in a fairly strict Indian family. My mum and dad really expected a lot from us. When I say us, I mean my sister Shivani and I. And we were expected to do really well in school. We had everything, the maths tuition, French tuition. We learned Spanish, as well as the academic. We did horse riding, learned to play the piano, very badly, I must add. But my passion was dance. I started learning Indian dance when I was 3 years old, and then at the age of 12 I started Bharatanatyam. So that had always been my passion. At 18 I left Kenya to go and study abroad. I went to study in Switzerland, and thereafter in the UK, in Surrey. And that's when my life changed completely, because in Surrey I met the man of my dreams, Jeremy, and I fell head over heels in love with him. The problem was my family would not accept him. I was 21 when I met him. He was 40, 19 years age gap. He was also English. He was divorced, and he had 3 children from his first marriage. So as you can imagine, my Indian family they just wouldn't accept him at all. So I had to make a choice, and I chose him. My life with him was very happy, and he was my strength. He championed everything I did. But of course, being estranged from your family that you're so close to has its repercussions. And so I suffered severe depression and was hospitalized. Felt very ashamed about it. But when I came out of hospital, I started realizing that it's an illness. And so I started talking about it and becoming an ambassador for mental health issues in England. All through that, Jeremy was my support. In 2012, I came back to Kenya with Jeremy, and I managed to reconcile with my family, and I'm really thankful for that. Because in 2014, Jeremy was diagnosed with renal cancer. And in 2016, 2 years after being diagnosed, he died. That was the most devastating thing to have happened in my life. And for the following year, following his death, I became very reclusive. I would only go out and teach 3 dance classes a week, and that was it. I drank a lot of alcohol. I numbed my pain with painkillers. I ate terrible food to try and fill that hole that I felt in my body. And I watched a lot of rubbish TV, and basically I was just looking to end my life because I didn't want to live without him. A year after he died, I started writing a book because I loved writing, and it was a cathartic process for me. And just as I was about to edit and publish it, my father died, also from cancer. So he died 18 months after Jeremy. That was a turning point for me, because I had seen these 2 men fight cancer, but lose to cancer. And I had life, and I was not living it. I was throwing my life away. So after my father died, I decided to change my life and start living. And I wanted to be happy again. I had forgotten how. So I had to learn those techniques again. So just to show you just a couple of things. One is, this is the book I wrote when Jeremy died, Always With You. It's a true story of love, loss, and hope. It's our story. It's the story about our love, his cancer, the bereavement, and my depression, and spirituality as well. So that's the first book I wrote. And then when I decided to turn my life around, I then wrote my second book, because like all crazy people do, as crazy single people in their 40s, I went online dating. So I wrote a book about it, online dating at 40. But this whole experience taught me that I couldn't find happiness in somebody else. I had to find happiness in myself. And so I stopped dating, and I went on a journey of self-discovery, and I created 10 techniques that I now use in my life to create happiness, deep, content happiness. And so my third book, Happiness, Is It a Mindset Shift, is currently at the printers and will also be available on Amazon around the world this week. So so that's how I became an author, really. So I have been given some questions by some of your colleagues, and so I'm going to answer these questions, and I hope you find them useful. And they tell you a little bit about me, really, and what I believe in life. So the first question: in your experience from childhood to adulthood, how has the definition of what a woman can do and can't do evolved? You know, when I first said at 18 that I wanted to be a dancer, my mother said, that's not a good career for a good Indian girl. I think things have changed in that way. Dance now is a good career path. I have chosen it as a career path. I think arts and media have been a good career path. Those traditional roles of being a teacher, an accountant, a doctor, a dentist, or whatever, we can put those behind us. And I think women now are empowered, they're stronger, we have some amazing role models out there. So that's what's changed since I was 18 years old. And so I hope that women today who are in their 20s and 30s look at role models and say, if they can do it, I can do it too. What is the best part of being an Indian origin woman taking a seemingly unconventional path in life? Do you know what? I love to surprise people. I hate being boring. I would hate to say, oh, I do this. And they're like, oh, okay, yeah, that's kind of, when I say I'm an author or I'm a dance teacher or I teach meditation and mindfulness, I'm a motivational speaker. People really want to know about that. It's a very interesting career, but it's also a career that has evolved over time. And being an Indian origin woman, I do use my Indianness to progress. So for example, Just June was very much based in its Indianness. When I write my books, I talk about Indian spirituality. When I look at mindfulness and meditation, I always bring that kind of Indian culture into it. What are some of the struggles of being unconventional? You know, it's that whole society thing. Log kya kahenge? What will people say? Do you know what? I don't care. I actually don't care what people say. They don't lead my life. They don't pay my bills. They don't, when I go to a therapist because I've got depression, they don't pay those bills. They are not responsible for my actions or reactions. So the struggles of being unconventional are people like, well, do good Indian girls do that? Hey, I don't care. So I used to struggle with being unconventional. I now relish being unconventional. What is your definition of success? So a lot of people will say success is the money, the car, the status, the job. I have to go back a little bit with this because the Dalai Lama once said, what is the purpose of life? He was asked the question, what is the purpose of life? And he said, oh, that's an easy question to answer. The purpose of life is happiness. He said, the hard question is, what makes happiness? Is it the car? Is it the status? Is it the money? And he said, or is it compassion, love, and tolerance? And I believe that the purpose of life is to be happy through compassion, love, tolerance. And my definition of success is somebody who has achieved that deep, content happiness. I work at it all the time. I use those 10 techniques I talked about in my book, Happiness, Is It a Mindset Shift? It's not to say I'm happy all the time. There are days when I am sad. So the brain works with contrast. So to understand happiness, you have to understand sadness. To be positive, you have to understand pain. To have courage, you have had to have experienced vulnerability. So there are days when I don't want to see anybody and I just want to go within, and I'm sad because of the things I've gone through. But ultimately what I want to achieve is deep, content happiness, which you can't get from money, status, the big car and the big house. What is the best decision of your life? Without a doubt, the best decision of my life was to love Jeremy, my husband and my soulmate, and to go against all odds and against all family and societal pressures. Your family will not always be right. Your mother will not always be right. Your peer groups will not always be right. You have to do what you believe in. You have to go deep within and really listen to your inner voice. So that was my best decision. Loving Jeremy was my destiny. It was a blessing, and it is something that I will have with me forever till the day I die. Okay, this question. You have been very open about your struggle with depression. How do you find the strength to keep going on the dark days? What message would you like to share with the women fighting depression and anxiety in their own lives? Okay, so the way I keep going on the dark days is by using my 10 techniques, of which some of them are mindfulness and meditation, gratitude, altruism, powering your presence, looking after your body in terms of fitness and food. So there are those different techniques that I use. But also, what I would say to women fighting depression and anxiety is don't be ashamed. It's seen as taboo and stigma in some societies. Do not allow people to shame you if you do have depression. Talk about it, go seek medical help, go see a doctor, go see a therapist, talk to friends who you know will be sympathetic. Depression is a medical illness. If I broke my arm, somebody would come up to me and say, "Oh, are you okay? Let me make you a cup of tea." But because somebody can't see a broken mind, they don't treat you the same. So what I would say to you is, if you have depression or anxiety, it is a broken mind. It is an illness that you need to work with. All these mental health illnesses are something that you need help with. What inspired you to become a mindfulness and meditation teacher? I turned to mindfulness when I had depression the first time, and I found it really helped me. But also my dance is a form of meditation and mindfulness to me. So for me, it was all about helping other people. If it could be so powerful in my life, I wanted it to be powerful in other people's lives. Could you share a few tips on how we can use mindfulness to improve the quality of our lives? So mindfulness and meditation, a lot of people think, oh, you have to put the agarbatti, the incense, and you have to put the chanting, and you have to have the prayer beads to do meditation. No, all it is it's about your breath. It's about breathing in through your nose and breathing out through your nose and not allowing anything else to come into your mind. And when something comes into your mind, you say, "Thank you very much. I'm not thinking that now. I'm just focused on my breathing." So that's all it is. It's breathing. But also, there's a lovely, you can use mantra meditation. You might all know this. Amir Khan is my favorite actor. I think he's fantastic. And you might all know this scene from the film Three Idiots, where he says, "Put your hand on your heart and say, all is well." I do that. So I will put my hand on my heart and I'll say to myself, all is well. Or I might use it in breathing. So I might breathe in and go, all is well. And I do that because I am just focused on that one mantra, and I'm almost like telling my brain and my heart that all is well. Try it. It's a fantastic way to just calm everything down. That's what mindfulness is. It's about being present in the moment now. I'm talking to you now. I'm not thinking of anything else. All I'm thinking about is delivering this message to you. If I was drinking a cup of tea and I focus just on that tea, then I'm being mindful in that moment. I'm giving my mind a break from everything else and just enjoying that cup of tea. So that's mindfulness. I love this. What is your favorite thing about being a woman? Hey, I'm sorry for all the men out there in the audience. I don't know how many of them there are there, but women are strong. And we are much stronger than men mentally and emotionally. And I don't care what anybody says. I have seen in my family alone, the men and the women, and my role models are strong women. My mother, my aunt, my grandmothers, my sister. Strong, strong, strong women. That's what I like about being a woman. We are the stronger gender when it comes to emotions and mental issues. Okay, if you could change one thing about the world, what would it be? I struggle with this a lot because I see a lot of discrimination, and I think we divide people by their gender, their color, their religion, their social status. We need to stop doing that. I don't care whether you're Hindu, Muslim, Christian, Buddhist, atheist, spiritual. I don't care. I don't care whether you're white, black, brown. I don't care whether you're a man, a woman. I don't care whether you're rich or poor. If I speak to you, I speak to you on an equal level as a human being. That's what I would like to change about this world. I want us to start treating each other equally and looking at somebody and going, you're human, I'm human. That's all that matters. I think we're a long way from that, unfortunately. Which woman in your life inspires you the most? My sister, Shivani. She's 2.5 years younger than me, but sometimes she's like my mother. She's a lion conservationist here in Kenya. She works in Samburu in North Kenya. She lives in a tent for most of the year. She works with in a very patriarchal society, and yet she is known for her work. She takes no nonsense. She is tough as boots, and yeah, she is my hero. She inspires me every day. What is the best advice you've ever been given? So this was given to me by my consultant when I first had depression. And basically he said to me, you're not responsible for anybody else's reactions, actions, happiness, or if they're disappointed in you. You have to do the best you can given your life. You are not responsible for other people. It was good advice for me at that time. What advice would you give to your younger self? So I'm going to read from my book, Always With You, if I can find the page, because I think this is a really important lesson that I wish I had been taught earlier. These things I know to be true. Life is short and fragile. If a relationship is not nurturing you or it feels toxic, end it. If a job does not make you happy, look for something that does. If a situation is not right for you, change it. Don't wait for tomorrow, because today is all we have. We have choices, and we owe it to ourselves to choose things that make us happy. We owe it to all those who have gone before us to live life fully, compassionately, and to make a difference, however small. Go within and listen to your inner voice. Trust yourself and trust your instincts. I wrote that in my book just before it got published, and I will often read that to myself. I wish I had known those messages when I was 20 or 21. And then finally, what are the top 3 pieces of advice you would give to women in their early 20s, 30s trying to find their voice in the world? So I stand by 3 decrees that I use every day in my life. You need to show up when it matters. By that, I mean you need to be authentic. You show up, you do the work you are expected to do. You are present, you are mindful, and you are there. Secondly, you always speak your truth. If you're not happy, you speak your truth. You are authentic to yourself and to people around you. For me, that's really important. I don't live a double life. I'm not a hypocrite. This is who I am. This is my life. I speak my truth. And third, stand in your power. Harness that internal power that you have as a woman, that internal strength. When I stand in my power, I'm here, I'm present, I'm me. So those are the three things I would say to you. Show up when it matters, speak your truth, and stand in your power. I'm so grateful for this opportunity to have been able to speak to you. If I had had the chance, I would have flown out there and been with you, because I can imagine that the energy in that room is fantastic. But I want to say thank you. Good luck to all of you. Please, please, please make contact with me. My social media handle is JustJoom, JustJhoon. But I hope I will make contact with some of you, and I hope to meet some of you one day. But in the meantime, thank you so much for listening. Thank you.